Long ago, all over the world, people developed their own religions and cultures. Typically, the different ethnic groups practice various religions in specific regions of the world. In ancient times, Western Europe was filled with strict belief systems and cultures built around those beliefs. A main system of religion was Greek and Roman mythology. In those times, Christians were the subject of prosecution beginning in 64 AD by Emperor Nero. Their belief in mythology and multiple gods was contradicted by the Christians who believed in only one God who was above everyone else. The Romans persecuted the Christians for their beliefs and culture.
Religious oppression continued during the 1500s with the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation initiated many years of Protestant Catholic violence in the 1500s in France, England, and the German states. Martin Luther, a man who believed the Catholic Church was corrupt, began the Protestant Reformation by writing the 95 Theses to explain his thoughts. One of the lines states, "The penalty of sin remains as long as the hatred of self, that is true inner repentance, namely till our entrance into the kingdom of heaven."
Pope Leo despised the Protestants and Luther, so in the Counter-Reformation he persecuted Huguenots, who were an ethnic group but oppressed as a religious group. Pope Leo persecuted the Huguenots by burning and killing them. The violence continued between the Protestants and the Catholics during the 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War was mostly a religious war fought between the Protestants and the Christians. In 1492, when the Europeans came to the New World, they brought their racist ideas with them. The exploration of the New World led to the conquest of the native people, and the traditions of the natives were thrown away. In William Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, about the experience of the New World, a character exclaims, "Oh, brave New World that has such people in it."
The same explorers that discovered the New World were the people that brought slaves over from Africa in the Triangle Trade. Innocent humans were taken from their homes and stripped of their rights because Africans were thought of as lesser human beings than the European explorers because of their color. An African-American woman, Phyllis Wheatley, wrote poetry about her experience of being brought from Africa to America. She states, "Once I redemption neither sought nor knew. Some view our sable race with scornful eye." While slaves were being brought over to America, there needed to be room for the plantations and farms to grow crops.
In the beginning of the 1800s, the genocide for the unwanted Native Americans began. Native American children were taken from their families, homes, and communities and placed in boarding schools, where they were forbidden to speak their native language or preserve their own cultures. Later, towards the end of the 1800s, the Chinese immigrated to America to find work. But, beginning in 1882 and continuing until 1943, Congress passed a series of Chinese Exclusion Acts, severely restricting Chinese entry into the United States. The intro to the Chinese Exclusion Act says, "Whereas in the opinion of the government of the United States, the coming of the Chinese laborers to this country endangers the good order of certain localities within the territory." Various state and federal laws prohibited Chinese people from testifying in court, owning property, or voting. The law also said that Chinese men could not send for their families to join them in America, and could not marry non-Chinese women.
While the rights of African Americans and Chinese were discussed in America in the early 20th century, Adolf Hitler expressed his hatred for non-Aryan races in Europe. In 1935, the Nuremberg laws were passed that took away citizenship from the Jews and also forbade marriage between Jews and non-Jews. The first major event was Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, where Germans attacked Jewish homes, businesses, and synagogues. This all led up to what is now known as the Holocaust. The Holocaust included sending Jews to forced work camps or in death camps where they were gassed. Few survived the Holocaust. Around 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust from areas including Germany, Hungary, Austria, Poland, and others. The Holocaust had the biggest effect on Poland, where roughly 2.8 million Jews were killed. Many Germans who took part in the Holocaust events were sentenced to death in the Nuremberg trials.
Meanwhile, in the United States in the 1960s, the civil rights movement was roaring with the excitement of equal rights for African Americans. The 1964 Civil Rights Act was a major factor in equality for all in America. The beginning of the act states, to enforce the constitutional right to vote, to confer jurisdiction among the district courts of the United States, to provide injunctive relief against discrimination in public accommodations. However, there was a setback because of the anti-African American group, the Ku Klux Klan, who held hatred for all African Americans and other racially different groups, especially in the South. The novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee was based in the 1930s South with huge amounts of racism towards African Americans. One character states, "You never really understand a person until you climb into his skin and walk around in it."
Years later, in the 21st century, Muslims in France were banned from wearing overly religious clothing or accessories at school, and it opened up a decade of debate over the subject. The Roma people, better known as gypsies, are suffering massive discrimination throughout Europe. They have been denied their rights to housing, employment, healthcare, and education. The Roma people are often victims of forced evictions, racist attacks, and police ill treatment. With deaths and triumphs, African Americans, Chinese, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Native Americans, Roma, and other culturally or racially oppressed groups have held together as a community. Despite all the past history filled with hatred and violence, all because of disagreements and differences, we have come very far. In America, we even have an African American president today. Barack Obama is a symbol of hope for different ethnic groups all over the world. Together as a community, we can all help the world we live in today become a more diverse, accepted, equal, and safer world for everybody.
Thank you for watching.